Hey everybody, I'm editing the video that you're about to watch right now, but unfortunately I forgot to film something very critical for this video. The intro. I did not film an intro to this video, so this is the intro to this video. So, here's the video. What is going on, everyone? Today we have a very interesting diecast today. There's just so much in this one that's so... I don't even know what to say, really. Like, mystery, intrigue. There's a lot going on here that makes this diecast in particular interesting. We've got a pretty random driver, a team that I have never made a video on, a brand that I have never heard of, and then, of course, the size of this diecast. It's a 1/18 scale, which in my entire time of reviewing F1 diecasts, I have only ever made one video on 1/18 scale cars. So just so much to this car that I've really never done before. First, the brand Solido, something. As previously mentioned, I've never heard of this brand. I did not mention it at all in my frequently asked FAQ video. Why did I call it that? I think it's a French brand. I think this text right here is French. That's just a best guess. I can't actually read it. We also have French as the first language on the bottom of the box. So I'm guessing this is a French car, French driver. I'm guessing this is a French brand. I only heard about it when I was on eBay looking at some of these cars, see if there were any that I wanted to get. And so I came across this one, and it's very interesting because, as I mentioned before, it is a 1/18 scale diecast. Mini Champs, Spark, and Barago, those were the only three brands that I thought made modern F1 cars in diecast form in 1/18 scale. Of course, Spark and Mini Champs, holy shit expensive. Way too expensive to really frequently buy at all. I actually only have one Spark 1/18 scale car, and I got it as a gift. So yeah, Mini Champ Spark, way too expensive to be buying at all, honestly, for me. And then Barago, while they are pretty inexpensive, relatively inexpensive, they have not made, it has been since 2016 that they made a non-Ferrari 1/18 scale diecast. And don't get me wrong, you know, Ferrari's cool and all, but I don't need a massive collection of 1/18 scale Ferraris because it's a team that I kind of like. So scrolling through eBay, seeing a Renault 1/18 scale car that was not $200. This was the price of a Spark 143 scale car. This is the price for a Spark 143 scale car. I won't say exactly what I paid for this, but it was less than 80 bucks. And that's about the price of a Barago. So seeing a non-Barago, non-Ferrari, non-anything 1/18 scale car, I knew I had to get it, which leads us to the team and the driver. I've only ever reviewed one Renault up to this point. It was a 1/64 scale car, so it was still a non-standard review because I usually review 143 scale cars. Not really a team I've been heavily interested in collecting for. An old Esteban Ocon. I'm sure many of you probably thought this was going to be a Daniel Ricciardo review because he is one of the more popular F1 drivers. Besides, you know, Daniel Kvyat. The drivers I usually review are like Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, like all the popular ones. And Daniel Ricciardo, while I haven't done a lot of reviews for him, I'm sure many of you just assumed this would be a Ricciardo review. Ocon, he's not really like a weird driver, but it's kind of random. I don't think he's necessarily a fan favorite anymore, so it definitely is sort of a weird one to have. But, you know, all of this is the perfect storm for an interesting review because I truly have no idea what I'm getting into because everything's fucked right now. I mean, it's all like that. So let's fucking get into the car. It's been like 20 minutes. Screwdriver again, bro. You need him. I've needed a screwdriver in every fucking video I've ever done, and I forget it every time. And here it is, the Diecast out of the box. Now, as I mentioned also earlier in this video, I've only ever done one 1/18 scale Diecast video. It is this one right here. Do not watch that fucking video. I haven't seen it in a long time, so who knows, but it's from 2017, so it's terrible. I don't need to watch it. Do not watch that video. But I'm very much not familiar with doing a video on 1/18 scale cars, so we'll just see how this goes. I'm expecting, based off the price, a Barago level car, but it's still super cool to see other teams with affordable 1/18 scale diecast. This is so freaking weird, dude. Like, holy shit, this car's huge. Looking over at the front wing, though, this is very cool. There is space between all the winglets. I mean, it goes right through there. You can see my hand back there, obviously. Barago do not do that. The front wings are just molded to look like there's space in between them, but there isn't. So that is a super cool bit of detail. It's just plastic on the front wing. It seems pretty durable, but I would not mess around with it because it is... it's still fragile. I mean, it's still an F1 front wing. I think no matter how you make these, they're going to be fragile regardless. We've got a ton of sponsors up here. 31, Esteban Ocon. We'll talk about him in a minute. I want to show more of the car. The tires, they're interesting. They've got not tread really, but you can see it's not completely flat. This is not how a F1 tire looks at all. I don't know why they've gone and done that. My only guess is that this is just kind of a mold they use for all their diecast tires, or at least ones that have slick tires. So they've just gone and used a previously existing mold and then have stamped the Pirelli logo on it. It doesn't really matter, but it is interesting. I think this is the first year they've ever made diecast, or at least F1 cars. So it doesn't surprise me that they haven't really gone out of their way to make a new tire mold or rubber whatever thing. Interesting to see the barge boards and whatnot down here because usually I'm dealing with such a small scale, but you can see those pretty well. I'll probably show pictures still. DuPont, Jeff Gordon, baby! But this is actually probably the real DuPont because DuPont paint is not called that anymore. So that's like the DuPont fucking tape. I have no idea what DuPont makes anymore. Infinity, of course, actually the other 1/18 scale non-Barago car I have is also got a bunch of Infinity logos on it. So it's interesting how my life is basically a fucking movie. It's just interesting how all that shit works out. RCI Bank and Services, I don't know what that is. Castrol, I know what that is. I can infer what RCI Bank and Services is, but I really don't have any idea. We'll talk about Esteban Ocon now for a second. We'll put the car down. We'll look at the rest of it in a second. Esteban Ocon. I only have one other Esteban Ocon diecast. It's the Force India from 2018, back when I was trying to collect all those cars, all the 2018 cars. And I think back then I actually rated Esteban Ocon pretty highly. It's actually gone kind of a flip-flop because back then I wasn't a huge fan of Sergio Perez, but now, obviously at the end of 2020, everyone was rooting for that guy. And Esteban Ocon did not have a great 2020. It was pretty unremarkable, I'd say. He got beaten by his teammate Daniel Ricciardo in pretty much every way. Of course, he did get the podium in Sakir when Sergio Perez won, which was cool, but I don't know, the whole rest of the year was pretty underwhelming. He just flat out got beat. So last year, I kind of forgot Esteban Ocon was even on the grid because it was just very, very unremarkable. I will say, though, so far in 2021, he's having a great year driving now Alpine, the renamed Alpine team. Definitely been a good story so far in this year with the pretty good runs, especially in what is that track called? Portugal? I don't know. But yeah, Esteban Ocon, not really a driver I really expected to get anytime soon. So it's kind of cool that this came up because it led me to a combination of team and driver that I wouldn't normally buy. Here we go with the halo detail. I'm just going to show a picture of this because it's not really focusing on it. That's probably something that happens in the old video. If you did decide to go and watch it, I'm sure there were plenty of times where the car would not get in focus. But yeah, the halo, the driver detail, it's really good. I think it looks a little bit better than a Barago one probably, although it's been a long time since I've really looked at a Barago one. Just in case you guys are wondering, the wheels do move on this car, front and back, obviously. It also has turning wheels. They turn left and right, obviously, because those are the way the wheels freaking turn. So yeah, all that is pretty cool. Very much like a Barago 1/18 scale. I'd say the detail is a little bit better. So hard to see with the bright yellow, but this is actually carbon fiber. It's got the carbon fiber pattern on it, which is really cool. I didn't even know if those pieces were made of carbon fiber because I don't think any cars I have these detailed like carbon fiber, at least not the Barago ones. The floor is obviously in that pattern too. And also the rear wing of this car is also carbon fiber. So that is really cool. We've also got this a little bit here. A lot of stuff going on in this car. And here is the rear wing, or the rear, here is the rear wing, rear diffuser area. Very, very much looking pretty nice. I'm pretty impressed with this car. I think it's a lot better than a Barago car, and it was a similar price. So that is really cool. Really, it's just the tires that are problematic. I wouldn't even say that really. I mean, they just look sort of weird because this is not how F1 tires really look at all. We got Yahoo on the rear wing as well. Yahoo, the fuck cares? Am I right? Does anyone use Yahoo email anymore? Of course, got to talk about the T-cam. It is correct on this car. The Barago ones are usually right in 1/18 scale. It's usually only 1/43 scale that they get those wrong, but that is right. So good one on you, Solido. I don't remember what it was called. Pretty good detail on this car. The carbon fiber looks, I mean, it's very obviously plastic, and the gloss on it is, wouldn't say it distracting, but it kind of has a low quality look, like the plastic of this car. The Barago, I don't know how to explain it, but just the way the light shines on the carbon fiber is kind of weird. It's kind of really a nitpick because I can't even really put exactly to words what I'm trying to say. But it's got this sort of cheaper look to it, but the detail is better. So it's kind of like a one step forward, one step back kind of thing. It really isn't that big of a deal. Overall, I would say this is a really good car. It's very cool to find another brand. It's very cool to find an affordable 1/18 scale of a non-Ferrari team. It's a driver I would not have bought under probably any other circumstances, or at least the 2020 car. I might buy the Alpine because he is doing pretty well. We'll see that. I don't want to make any promises with buying cars because I already did that and I've bought none of them. But that'll do it for this episode. That'll do it for this video, this F1 Diecast review. Very interesting combination, very interesting one. I didn't film it outside, so that unfortunately kills the tradition of the 1/18 scale videos. Maybe if I ever get another one, maybe I'll do it. But this is a pretty nice car. It's got a few little quirks, little weird oddities, but overall, it's really good. And if you can find it for a good price, honestly, I have not been able to find one for as good of a price I got it for on eBay. I haven't been able to find it again. Also, I haven't been able to find a Daniel Ricciardo that isn't broken. So I don't know how rare these cars are. It is a French company, so they probably come from France. I don't know how easy it is to find in the United States of America. I don't know why I spelt it all out essentially, but yeah, I don't know how rare this car is, so if you guys find one for a good price, certainly pick it up because it's an interesting one. It'll definitely stand out in some of your guys' collection. But that is all I have to say for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.